Okay, here we go on video number 3, testing procedures. We're going to begin by talking about the time limit that is on the STAR testing. First of all, start and stop times must be recorded on the seating chart. And it's the same seating chart we've used over the last couple of years, so we do have lines and spaces for that, just as we've had in the past. Students must record all their responses on their answer document before the time expires. And you'll notice on this slide that the time period this year has changed. For the English 1 and English 2 EOC test, students will be given a full 5 hours. That is 1 hour more than we have given in the past. For Algebra 1, Biology, and U.S. History EOCs, the students will be given the 4-hour time period. The state did extend the time period given to the English 1 and 2 when they combined the reading and the writing into one test. At the end of the time frame, test administrators must instruct any student still testing to put their pencil down, close their test booklets, or exit their online test when the time ends. Continuing discussion of the time policy, the distribution of materials and the say directions are not included in the 4-hour or 5-hour time limit. So all of the logistical directions that you're reading prior to them beginning are not going to be included in the time. It has not started. Time will start when you read the last statement that says if there are no questions, you may begin. At that point, you will want to record that time on the sheet, and we will go from there. As we near the end of the test and then throughout the test administrators must communicate orally or in writing the amount of time that is left to test. So if giving the English 1 and English 2, you would remind students at the 4-hour, 3, 2, and 1-hour mark. And then within that last hour, it is Pine Tree ISD policy that we only remind the students at 30 minutes left and at 15 minutes left. If you're given the Algebra 1, Biology, or U.S. History test, then you will simply be reminding them at the 3-hour, 2-hour, and 1-hour, and then again at 30 and 15 minutes. Late arriving students must be allowed the full time to complete their English 1 and English 2 EOCs, which would be the 5 hours, and then 4 hours for the others. Late arriving students must be kept aware of their time left to test. Students who have a different time than the class as a whole must be reminded individually when you do remind the students of the time left. In the past, we've kind of taken care of late arriving students by blocking them all into one room. We will continue to do so, but it's important that you are aware of how to deal with late arriving students if one does come into your room after you have allowed the students to begin the test, so you can be familiar with the policy of keeping their time separately. So please do keep that in mind in case it does happen. Breaks that are included within the time limit, meaning time does not stop for these. If a student needs a drink of water, if a student needs to go to the bathroom, or a short physical or mental break. We will have monitors at the restrooms yet again and in the hallways to ensure that students are aware that the time is still going and can make that bathroom break a short time. Continuing with breaks that are not included in the time limit, which means the clock would stop and we would then record that time and account for that time later, would be a lunch, emergency situations that significantly interrupt testing, and if we consolidate or move students to other testing areas towards the end of the day. Also, medical breaks to the nurse. If any of these situations arise, you would need to record on the answer document the start and stop time for the students so we can make sure and ensure that they have the full 4 or 5 hour time to give that test or to take that test. Looking at STAR materials, the dictionary policy for English 1 and 2 EOC, dictionary or thesaurus combination may be used throughout the entire test for English 1 and English 2 EOC. Calculators, when we take Algebra 1, there will be one graphing calculator for each student. We must ensure that if there are not enough in your room when you begin to issue, please let someone in the hallway know and we will make sure that you do have plenty. On the biology test, the state requires one calculator for every 5 students. We do our best to make that 1 to every 3 or a 1-to-1 ratio. Remember, in the situation, if we are sharing calculators, that you as the test administrator must clear that calculator before it's passed from one student to the other. Also, for Algebra 1, if any student wishes to use their own calculator, that would be something that would be needed to discuss beforehand, and we will have ample calculators for that day, and they will be test cleared to ensure that there is not leftover materials on them from previous test sessions or classroom exercises. So if someone brings their own and wants to use it, please notify someone in the hallway and we can discuss that at that time. Allowable test administration procedures and materials. In the past couple of years of STAR, we had these before, and then they've just simply kind of changed their name, but these are not accommodations. They are not on an IEP or they're not in a 504, and they may be provided to any student who is based on their need. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean for every student, but they are for those who regularly use them and regularly benefit from their use. They should be available to students who need them. There's no documentation required, and they do not have to be recorded on the answer document. So as we're flipping through these, if you have students in your classes who are using these types of materials, kind of keep that in mind and be able to let us know in the counseling center so we can make sure all of these are made available to our students who need them. Students can be allowed to read the test aloud to themselves to facilitate comprehension. That simply is someone talking aloud to themselves. We can translate test directions in a student's native language, and this is for our English language learners only. A TA may read aloud or sign the writing prompt to a student who requests it, only the writing prompt. Reading assistance for grade 3 math does not apply to the high school, but it is offered. And we can also make available scratch paper, colored overlays, blank place markers, magnifying devices, highlighters, colored pencils, or crayons. And remember, in the past, we do put blank paper, highlighters in your tub, and you can make those available to students who want them before the test, but do not issue them to every student. Once again, this is strictly for those students who desire to use these materials and who use them regularly and are successful with them on a regular basis. We can also give permission for a student to use tools to minimize distraction, i.e. a stress ball or noise reducing headphones, as long as headphones are not connected to anything. Individual or small group administrations can also be done now if students have received that in the past and are successful. And obviously reminders to stay on task. So if you have a student who you feel may need a stress ball or individual or small group administration, those are things we need you to email us and let us know. So if you could email the appropriate grade level counselor or provide us with a list of students who you think may benefit from some of these allowable test procedures and materials, then please let us know really soon. Remember, a trained test administrator must be present at all times, actively monitoring at all times, and campus administration and campus coordinators will be also actively monitoring all testing locations during the testing sessions. And each person participating in the testing program is responsible for reporting to the principal or campus coordinator any violation or perceived violation or irregularity once you are aware or have any question at all regarding something that has occurred. Okay, we've reached the end of video number 3. So once again, the link to the questions is in the comment section below. So if you will be so kind as to progress to that and complete those, we will see you again in video number 4.